right. Hi, everybody. I'm Jeff Freedman. I am the chapter director for the Baltimore chapter of Startup Grind. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I know a lot of people have asked me the question tonight of what the heck is Startup Grind, so I'm going to let you know. But not people on the other side of the wall, just you guys. It is a global community designed to support startups. We have monthly events in 600 cities, 125 countries, and we support over 2 million entrepreneurs. We have some philosophies. We believe in making friends, not contacts. We believe in giving, not taking, and we believe in helping others before helping yourself. Really what we care about is making sure you can connect to the resources and people you need in the city you live in, which for us is Baltimore. I want to thank Celine and Deb and everybody else who put on Baltimore Innovation Week 19. Thank you guys very much. There's been events all week. It continues into tomorrow, so if you haven't been to them yet and you're just here today, you should come back tomorrow and check out what else we have. I want to thank my team, Chris, Greg, Jackie, and Drew. I also want to thank Danielle Berman of DB Consulting, tackle what's next for her tremendous help in putting on this event tonight. I want to thank Carrie Roon from U.S. Commercial Service for the food and happy hour, the partnership that we had for our great lead-in. Let's give a big round of applause for everybody who helped out. Thank you, thank you. There's plenty of beer, wine, and food left, and I hope you guys got a lot out of the previous events if you were here. I want to thank our sponsors, Growth Solutions Team, which is a leading provider of business consulting, sales, and customer service training and executive coaching with the objective to help businesses grow and scale. You know, kind of the reason we're all here is to build a business and grow it to scale. Their programs are designed to meet you where you are and generate results that last for your company. I also want to thank Vanderburg Law, who helps you grow your business and reduce your stress level by providing you with affordable, tailored, and timely legal support. We got a couple of events coming up real quick. We got one October 23rd. We're working with the Next Generation Business Networking Summit. Huge networking summit they've got going on. It's an incredible opportunity to build your brand and grow your revenue. If you use code STARTUP, that's STARTUP, one word, you'll get $100 off your ticket. Startup Grind has a couple events coming up November 12th. We're doing our first early morning event, 7:30 a.m. in White Marsh. It's the Power Connectors Breakfast. We're partnering with a whole bunch of other chambers and networking groups to get our members here and everybody else who you know in front of a bigger audience. So come on out, get up early, have some breakfast, and meet some good people. December 19th, we're doing our holiday party at Phillips Seafood. And January 23rd, we are co-hosting with the Better Business Bureau so we can learn more about how their organization can help and grow your businesses. So that's what we have coming up. You can check out all that stuff on our website. It'll be up in the next few days. But now, why you're really here, which is our fantastic panel. So I'm going to pass the mic down and let them all introduce themselves, and then we'll get into our discussion.
Wasn't expecting to go first, but I'll take the mic here. I'm Thomas Neuberger from Big Run Media, and I'll hand it off to...
Oh, wow. Wait, no, Thomas, you got to tell us a little about your company and about yourself.
I didn't know we were building a relationship right now. So my company consists of two sides. We have a B2B side and a B2C side. The B2B side is our promotion of running events and endurance events. So we work with races. You might know of one here in Baltimore called the Baltimore Marathon Weekend, which we work with, and running festival. And we work with them all over the country to increase registrations, get athletes involved in the events. The second side of it is a website called BelieveInTheRun.com, where we work with brands and manufacturers to review their products, everything from GPS watches to running shoes to running gear. And we take a look at it, give our thoughts and opinions on it, and make a little money while we do it.
I'm Deb Tillett, president of ETC, the City of Baltimore's Technology and Innovation Center. And if you were here for any of the other parts of the day, you know what I do. I work with every stage of startup, and my job is to help create jobs and to create an economic impact on the City of Baltimore, one entrepreneur at a time. And none of this would be going on right now without, technically, but also without my staff. So make sure that Celine and Amanda and Val and Ron No, absolutely no. That you wouldn't have been fed, you wouldn't be drinking, and you wouldn't be sitting in a chair if they hadn't worked their ass off last night.
Yeah. My name is Mike LaRoque. Mike LaRoque with Spot Wash. We're an app-based car wash and detail service here in Baltimore. At the moment, we partner with luxury apartment buildings, condos, and commercial properties to clean people's cars while they either sleep or work. And we're eco-friendly, so we save about 100 gallons per wash, and with that, we only use 30 ounces of water when we do clean your car.
And you went through Accelerate Baltimore.
And we went through Accelerate Baltimore and won the big competition.
Hi, my name is Steve Bumbry. I am co-founder of also 2 different branches of my company. Call it side A is Be Balanced Therapies, and after my career ended, I needed to reevaluate how I was taking care of myself. So I got into yoga, massage therapy, meditation, and I offer these services to private and corporate clients wherever they need. And side B, in the last couple years, we've gotten into the CBD market. So we now have hemp-derived CBD products, and that company is called Be Well. So together, we're helping people to be balanced and be well, all naturally.
I am Laura Gorecki. I am the owner and founder of Moxie Promotion, as well as Waterfront Tech Series. And Moxie is outsourced business development, but what the hell is that? So it's consulting, we do events, I do websites, logos, creatives for startups, as well as just the event piece is my Waterfront Tech Series, which is a proprietary event where it's a quarterly networking breakfast where we talk about different emerging technologies in different industries. I am sort of a vet of ETC, and I was working for a nameless marketing company, but that was kind of what made me realize I could do this.
All right, thank you everybody for coming. I hope you had a good time. Now, let's get some questions. Thanks everybody for announcing yourselves. I'm just gonna kind of go down, so kind of the format that I wanna follow tonight is I'm gonna ask a question to one of you, but really I wanna kind of spread it out to all of you, so I'm gonna aim it at one of you and then kind of see who can else answer the question. So Mike, I know I'm gonna start with you, congratulations. You were involved in multiple sports, as well as sports-related jobs before you started Spot Wash. And I know one of them, that sounded like you started playing soccer was your original.
Yeah.
Right, little boy playing soccer, moved into lacrosse in college, and then you worked on a golf course, and then obviously got more into the business world, and then opened your own company. So in your opinion, out of playing at a young age, playing in college, or working in the sports industry, which one would you say was the biggest influence for you to open your own business?
Great question.
Thank you.
I would say it was the golf industry. In golf, I worked on the turf side, so I was maintaining the grounds, tees, greens, fairways. So my day started at 4:30 in the morning, up before the sun, and then I'd work just till sundown. So right now with Spot Wash, I do that still, but then I also work into the night. But the thing that got me thinking about entrepreneurship is, let's see, I was always on the golf course. I lived on it for 2 years one time. So I was just always there, and the big thing that kind of got me actually out of golf is I wanted to create my own schedule. So being an entrepreneur, I'm able to create my own schedule, but still I'm married to the job, but I can work around certain life events as opposed to being on the golf course. It was either you're on or you're off. It's not really an off day, but it was more of just a day of rest. But it could contribute a lot of what I'm doing right now to being in the golf industry. And you had to be self-motivated because you're kind of on your own. I managed a 18-hole golf course, and there was really no one telling me what to do, so I had to wake up and get it done.
I mean, you had kind of told me when we talked originally too that when you started playing lacrosse, you were kind of the only one in your area that was into that sport. So it kind of always had that solo mentality.
It was lonely, yes.
Yeah. So,
To dovetail off that, I grew up in southern PG County. I Went to high school near College Park, which is northern PG County, but they had lacrosse in their program since like the 80s. I grew up playing soccer, and in my area it was just soccer, football, baseball. No one played lacrosse. So when I picked up lacrosse in 9th grade, the best way I could learn was just to be on the wall every day, every night. I didn't have anyone to practice with, so it was just really up to me to develop my skills. They didn't have YouTube back then, so I couldn't like go on the internet to. Well, I went to class with them too. Yeah. But yeah, it was just self-motivation. Like I wanted to be the best, and I just worked really hard at it.
Okay. Anybody else want to kind of jump on that? The long hours and the kind of the being solo when you were either playing sports or for your release of sports. That is kind of
Well, and I'll do the twinkle. Here we go. So this is all of the distance running that I've done. And the point is, when I was starting one of my companies, I was deciding to be the distance runner. And the thing about that is it's endurance. You have to stay with it. You can't run the Marine Corps Marathon without being the guy in charge, the person who's doing the ops, the person who understands how to get it done, and the person who knows that you need to finish, right? And so that's what being an entrepreneur is. You have to commit to the long journey. You have to commit to the solo journey, because as an entrepreneur, you are everything and doing everything. And so, as I said, you're the engineer because you've got the energy, but you're also the navigator, but you're also the CEO because you're the one that has to come in and win. And so the journey is essentially the same.
I think Deb can probably attest to this more than even me, but I think coming out playing such a high level of sports and being a captain forever and being a leader and knowing how capable I was, and then graduating and not having that, and earmuffs, guys, but like then having some guy like kind of tell me, give me the money in a sales position, or reporting to somebody that I didn't really feel like was a good leader. And because I was a woman, not making it a lot further than I should have, or just treated differently. I think that was, that's reason 146,000 that I started my own company. But yeah, I wanted to start my own hours. I wanted to dress how I wanted to dress. And yeah, I think just after you reach that level of sports, like you can do it no matter what happens, and you can fall on your face a million times and get back up and do it all over again. So it's just a really, really grateful for the opportunity.
Anybody else want to jump in on?
I guess the running theme here is resilience, really is what I'm hearing. And in my career, I was faced with an uphill climb, like in business, but in sports. And the exception was my tool was my body. So I laid it on the line with full effort, max effort with my body. And that led to injuries, right? You play really hard, you get beaten up. How are you going to bounce back? And when my athletic chapter came to an end, I still had that mindset. I needed to recover, I needed to get back on my feet, and through that, I realized that going through my own struggle physically, I was able to relate and help other people going through that or a similar struggle, and that's how I started my two businesses, was just going beyond what I thought that I needed to do, and extending, asking for help, and just asking for help and just going hard, and a new mindset really is what it was about.
Awesome. All right, Thomas, I'm gonna poke on you since you were quiet on that one. So, you actually found a way to combine your sport and passion with what you're doing now. So I know like everybody else kind of used that as a catalyst to an extent, but your business is built around running, which is, your sport, your passion. Do you think having that personal connection with, obviously your audience is you to an extent. Do you think that has helped you achieve growth more successfully because you know your target audience, you are your target audience?
I mean, I'll just say one thing about the last thing. You guys sound like you're awesome because you did it on your own. I was fortunate that from the start I had help. My wife is part of our business and she helped me co-found it, so I didn't have to be the captain of the team or anything. I could kind of recognize my shortcomings, and the two of us together were able to kind of fill in the gaps where my talent stopped and her talent began, which is bigger than I thought it was. Sure. But anyway, we'll get into this. So I started running later in life. I started running in my 30s, and I got into it like whole hog. And now I just ran my 30th marathon Sunday. I've done several ultra marathons, and I'm always participating. And I was working for a company that did marketing, and I was working for customers that I didn't care about the product. I didn't care about what they were doing. And I knew I had a passion for what I was doing, and so I wanted to marry that to something else I had a passion for. So it naturally led into the endurance market. And the biggest thing, we can crush every competitor because we actually love what we do, and we know what we're talking about, and we know how to talk to a 5K runner versus an ultra marathoner. We know what motivates somebody over here versus over here to spend their mornings running, and we live and breathe it. So it's even funny when we get a little bit outside of our specific marketing area, we flounder a little bit. So by staying where we really know it and can hammer it, nobody can beat us on that level. So as an athlete and trying to accomplish stuff and wanting to be in first place, I'm sure everybody up on this panel is competitive. You see somebody else doing something, you want to do it a little bit better. That's us. And we feel like we can compete on the field that we're on, which is marketing to the people that we want to spend time with.
Can you go back to the question one more time, just in case?
So it's more, combining your passion for what you do with the business that you're in. So, knowing your audience, being your audience. For you, actually, that's a great question right at you, because you were kind of putting why you opened your businesses was because of things that happened to you in your professional career. And you're basically trying to help people who are in the same position that you were in. So it's really not just knowing your target audience, but being your target audience. How has that helped you be more successful, in your opinion?
Yeah, so when my career ended, baseball was my passion. Since a child, being a kid, I always wanted to play baseball. I played other sports, but baseball was the one that I knew I wanted to be the best at. And that was my ultimate passion. Before I got to that level, I imagined that dream, and that's what allowed me to stay on that path. When all of those dreams came to an end and all of a sudden I had no idea what I wanted to do, no idea what I was really good at, I did what I needed to do just to keep my life moving. And in those activities, whatever I was doing throughout the days, I started to just ask myself, what would I like to do, or what would I be having fun at? And those were the same questions I asked myself when I was a kid. Is baseball going to be fun? And that question always stayed true until the day that ended. So transitioning into the new entrepreneurship role, I was asking those same questions because I knew I wanted to be sustainable 20, 30, 40 years down the road. And I found new passions because I was able to relieve stress and relieve tension, and I was sleeping better at night using these therapies. That just really fueled me to becoming an expert. And I knew that being an expert in two different fields, I knew I could help people, whether it was through networking or getting them to the right professional. If I'm not the expert for you, I can get you to the right professional for whatever you need.
Awesome.
Okay. So when I was little, I would tell my dad, I'm gonna win an Olympic medal. It's gonna happen. And he'd be like, which sport? And I'd be like, I'm not sure yet. And then it just became clearly soccer. And I was able to reach an All-American level in high school, and then I was on the national team. On the under 14s, if you understand the process, under 14 team, under 16 team, under 18 team, under 21 team. Then I arrived at the University of Virginia to play. And during that time, my position changed from forward to outside mid, and I stopped getting invited back to the national team. So that was kind of, I sometimes say to people, what's better, to almost make it, but not? Or not even come close? And I think they always said, like, to almost make it, but not. And there was, you know, that spell where there's that void from the sport, where you're like, what the heck am I gonna do? But, you know, also at a young age, and I think being a captain and being on a team where I wasn't solo, I had a lot, you know, I had a lot of friends, I had a lot of parents, and I kind of learned how to network at a very young age. And my dad was like, girlfriend, you gotta do something with people, because I don't know what it's gonna be, but you gotta figure that out. So I would always be in business development, but it would be to start out, I had my Series 7 in finance and stuff like that, and it just wasn't what I was feeling. So I think I'm answering the last question.
That's fine, yeah,
Yeah, so I've been in finance, I've been a recruiter, I've been a real estate agent for many years, then I ended up in marketing. I had a very kind of very heavy adult moment where I had to look in the mirror and say, does any of this make you happy? Does working under a sales manager make you happy? Like, it's just always the same commission stuff and always the same crap and always, you know, and I had like a coming to Jesus moment where I realized that I was the best with people, I was the best with networking, and I was the best with events. So I needed to figure out a way to parlay what I had done with soccer into this new life, and it's been amazing. But you know, just like the soccer career, it's been a lot, and there's a lot of highs, and there's a lot of lows. Like, didn't win an Olympic gold medal. Truly thought that I would, came really close, didn't happen. Kind of like lost my shit over that for a little bit. But I just am really, you know, it's true that everything that happens to you is leading you up to the moment that you're in. So now, looking back, I'm like, thank God, because I just learned from sports how to fall down, get back up, fall down, get back up, fall down, get back up. Don't quit, don't quit, don't quit. Do it again. You're juggling the ball, it gets away from you, you go get it, and you start again. That's just the way it is. And my adult life has been a little trickier with, like, you know, with the business and stuff like that. It's not sports. Because in sports, I could just say, screw you, like, I'm gonna go out in the field, I don't really care what you say to me or about me, like, I'm gonna go out in the field and score some goals, and then, you know, I'll see you later. That crutch was, you know, taken away from me when I didn't get a medal, so I had to regroup and figure out what I wanted to do, and that's when I moved to Baltimore, and I've always been in business development in several different industries, and I think it's an incredible city. And we've got a lot of like amazing headquartered companies here and a lot of startup, and I'm so proud of this city, and I think what I do, I'm trying to connect the important leaders here. So I just feel very honored for that opportunity too.
Always going to be around these people that are supportive of me, and that was a big eye-opening opportunity for me to say, hey, I'm going to put these blinders on even more, I'm going to dig in, and I'm just going to focus and move forward. So in business, you're always going to come up against people. You're going to have to try to figure out if they're the right fit for your company, your organization. And if they hurt you once, shame on them, but don't let them hurt you again, and just dig in and focus up and keep moving.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think, you know, both of you kind of echo the same sentiment of, you know, what sports has prepared you for is not always being as successful as you hoped you would be, and not always achieving every single goal you set out, but picking yourself up and continuing to go for it, because that's how you become successful in any realm. But really, as an entrepreneur, you know, to be able to say, I'm not going to win every one, I'm not going to get every client, I'm not going to, you know, land every deal that I'm trying to land, but at the same time, there's another one out there, and I can keep doing it. And I think having that mentality in the back of your head that there's going to be another chance, and whether I'm going to go all the way or I'm going to go as far as I can go in business, that's a good philosophy to have because it keeps pushing you and it keeps giving you that drive. So I know two of you on the panel, Thomas and Steve, both work with your spouses. How would you say that, and I don't know if anybody else does, but I'm going to go with you too, because I know you do. How would you say, and Thomas, I'll start with you since Steve just gave us a nice little speech before, I'll give him a little bit of a breather. How would you say, I know you touched on it a little bit, how would you say that has helped you having that team support that you can get in sports, or even when even running, there's other people around you that are pushing you to run faster or running in front of you that you need to catch up with because they're ahead of you. Would you say that kind of carries over to the business world by having that partner that you can work with?
I mean, having a partner is really awesome. I mean, I've done it once on my own and once with a partner, and it sucks on your own. Sometimes you got to do it that way, but all the demons that you have nobody to share it with. If you have a partner, that somebody that you trust at that level, and when you're having that bad day, when you need to get back up, you need to be coached back into the game, and you don't feel like you can get up because some devastating happened to you that you think is the end of the world for your business, then you have that partner that says, I got this, we'll figure it out. Sometimes that's all you need to get back up, and that's a luxury. So those of you who are doing this on your own, my hat's off to you. I know the psychological stuff that must go through your head, and I think when you guys were talking about your sport and you're running into people that aren't supportive and you're getting knocked down and you want to get back up, that's in the small business realm. There's just days where you are going to have less than stellar days, but the thing that the sport brings to you is that you just show up. So one more day of showing up, one more day of saying, what do I need to get done today to move the business forward, is invaluable. To have someone to support, to say to you, hey, I know you can do this, I know we can do this, is really helpful. So if you are doing it on your own, find a mentor, find somebody, find a Deb, and have somebody in your corner that says, it's a shitty day. Let's start today over.
But it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah. Or that, because alcohol helps everything. But, yeah. So I mean, that's what I would say. Relationships are different. So let's see what happens over here.
Definitely. Sports prepared me to have a partnership where we could balance each other out. And like Thomas was saying, good days, bad days, you count the score, and it feels like one day you're on top of the world, the next comes crashing down. My partner really is that person where you can just sound things off and let them know it's going to be okay and allow you to come back, to your basis, your steady point where you're good. They can get you back to that point. So it's amazing having a partner, and really my weak spots in business really show up and shine as the things that I'm super attracted to her, and I let her run free on them. So it's fun to watch her go and do the same, the things that she's good at, and she lets me go out and do the things that I'm good at. And again, we just keep coming back to growing that vision together. And in terms of being an athlete, that's all you and your teammates are doing. One day you go 1 for 4 and your guys are patting you on the butt, picking you up, saying, go get them, try again. And that's what that partner is. So if you have one, great. If you don't, go out. There's plenty of mentors and other people doing it that want to do it with you. So definitely community, and reach out, ask for help.
Which one between you and your wife is the more emotionally unstable? I'll answer for me. She is my rock, and I am all over the place.
Definitely, it's a roller coaster, and I think it goes back and forth, between each other, depending on the day, the time of month, what we've been up too. So yeah, it's a balance. Everything is a balance.
I'm old enough, I don't have to worry about that anymore.
So speaking of spouses, first I want to congratulate Mike, who just got married recently. And wish our condolences. And the other side of it is, speaking of partnerships, obviously, I know you've got a partnership as well, so I want to make sure you kind of chime in too, coming from a background of working both, you know, or playing both on a team, kind of playing lacrosse solo, and then obviously golf being, you know, sounds like a lot of solitude. Having a partner in business now, you know, can you kind of echo the sentiments that these guys are saying with your partner, who I know was a childhood friend of yours?
Yeah, his name's Freddie. He couldn't make it tonight. He's also not the best public speaker. He doesn't like to be in front of people, but he is business development, which is probably one of my weaker points, even though I'm up here standing in front of you today. I'm more operational, organized, the rock, you know. He has his ups and downs, but you know, we have that kind of yin and yang relationship. So it really works out well.
Awesome. So kind of that team mentality, that balance between you guys.
Yeah, we've known each other since we were 14.
Okay.
So he knows me really well, I know him really well, and we just, you know, we make it happen.
Okay. Awesome. And then Laura, question for you. Obviously, you were always on team sport. I mean, playing soccer is not a solo endeavor.
That's not true.
Okay. Well, then I'm gonna let you kind of. Okay. Well, we should have.
And all that stuff, that's what I wanted, but when I would go to the business meetings, I wasn't treated like a team player, I wasn't treated with value, I wasn't respected, they were late, they didn't show up, and it was just like kind of a shit show. So I had to again look in the mirror and be like, you want what you want, but the reality is that these people aren't treating you well, so you can want a team all day, but if it's not, you know, you can't force that. So I tried to partner several times, but I'm not going to force it, and I'm not. I also used to work at Smart CEO. I watched them grow really fast and do really well, but then I watched them go into way too many markets and they just saturated, and then they failed. So I will stay by myself as long as I can keep making it work, and you know, I just pray about it, and when the time is right, you know, the right partner will present itself, or the right team. Or I'm just maybe working on merging with a couple other companies. I'm just starting an event company.
I just want to speak to partner because my first business I started with a partner, and we were absolutely opposites. She was a fashion photographer, absolutely amazing, and I was all things business. And we met well on the job, and we both worked for other people. But as I like to tell people, we hit it off. We knew we were working and scheming in the night and trying to understand. And then all of a sudden it just became clear. And I quit my job, left my husband, sold my car, and started my business all in the same week. But it was because I had this partner that I knew was there for me, and we were absolutely polar opposites. I couldn't take a photo if my life depended on it, and she was amazing. And frankly, we traveled all over the world and were extremely successful, and we did work for Head Sportswear and Bridges of Georgetown and you name it. And so the partner that can pick up on what you don't have and understand that piece of you that they have and you don't is really beneficial.
I'm just gonna say one thing, Deb. When you just said the devastating news to your husband and just burning all the boats, that reminded me of, like, I think it was the Spanish came in and they turned around and they burned all the boats so that nobody could retreat.
Right.
When they were gonna go after the Aztecs. Or
Because they
I might get this
I knew
history.
I wasn't going to fail.
But that's I
it.
even think if you know you're not 100% sure, if you're gonna start a business and start this entrepreneurship,
Do it.
you gotta burn the ships.
You got to do it.
So Deb, I know you got into kind of running and equestrian, you mentioned earlier too, as you started new businesses. Was that deliberate as a release? Was it subconscious as a release? Was it even a release at all, or was it just coincidental? And it kind of, to expand on that, you know, and this is kind of for everybody, really, Are you still involved at all in the sports that you were involved in? Obviously, Thomas, I know you are. To an extent of just playing for fun or giving back or doing anything like that as release, or is that kind of chapter closed and moving on? So definitely, there were two different questions, but I'll start with you, Dan.
It's okay. So I think it was age related, but it was also work related. So each time I picked up on a sport, so distance biking was the first thing I did because this partnership was ending. And that meant I had a lot of free time. And so that meant that you could spend 7, 8, 10 hours on a bike every day because you didn't have anything else to do, right? And so then that ended and I went into, computer gaming, but then I came through that and I was, oh gosh, I'm turning 40-ish and I'm starting my next startup, but it hadn't quite taken off yet. So yeah, let me do horses, right? Mostly because I bought a farm and you were grandfathered into a very low tax rate, farm tax rate, if you had 4 horses, 10 cows, 50 chickens, or 100 trees. And I thought, wow, horses are much more fun than chickens or trees, right? Little did I know that they're really hard work and they're scary, and if you're not careful, you can really get hurt. But they're also empowering. For anyone who's ever ridden a horse, a woman, you have to understand that as a 5-foot-tall, 100-pound woman sitting on 1,200 pounds, and you're the fucking boss. You tell that guy what to do. You tell that guy what to do. That is amazing. It's really powerful. So that was that. Then I was into another startup, couple of years, whatever, down the road. I'm about to turn 50, and I was like, well, I don't have anything to do. I sold that startup. I cashed out, okay, I don't have to go to work. I think I'll just start running, right? So then you just start running. It, for me, was about, did I have the time to commit to spending 6 hours a day on a Saturday running 24 miles, right? So I think the two for me went absolutely together because it was about being free and having the time and understanding. So then as I was turning 60, I was like, half marathons, So I'll just do half. Yeah. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Well, it did. It was kind of, the two getting in.
If I get hurt, I can't walk, and I need to be able to walk. And I realized that very quickly. The first game that I did play at New Burns, I tweaked something, and then I couldn't really get around, and I realized I need to be able to be in front of people for my business. And then just the scheduling of it all. I'm like, I will not give another minute of my life to this sport. Moxie is my new soccer, and then it made me realize. And my UVA coach told me this. He knew I was gonna go pro, and he was kind of like, yeah, you are really good. You don't love it the way these other girls do. Like, they're out there, blood, sweat, and tears. And I think that's always been true. I was good. Like, my eldest brother played at Ohio State. He was good. He wasn't amazing, but he loved it, and he wanted it so much. And I kind of was like, oh, I wish I could give this to you. I was kind of like, just didn't absolutely love it, and I was burnt out. So back to what you were saying about balance, like, we were all talking tonight about how many events there are to go to anymore and how we got to figure that out, because which one do you go to, right? And I've had to just like stop going to events sometimes, or just slow down, or just like regroup, and I have to force myself to do it because I have to find that balance, because I never want to burn out on Moxie. So, yeah, thanks.
To get back to the sport question, are we contributing or still active in that? Competing? No, I'm not. I'm not using my body in that way. It's, like you said, too much of a risk to get injured, and there's a lot on the line. So definitely being conscious of that. But in terms of coaching and the next generation, I am helping kids. We have a baseball camp that my dad has been running primarily for the past 13 years. And my wife and I are starting to build that. We're expanding into different counties. We're now in Howard County, so we are doing that. And the Orioles, they have a Dream Week every year in January, where any fans can pay for a player-like experience. You get your name on the jersey, you get the locker room. About 30 alumni, players of different generations in the Orioles come and they act as your coaches. So I go down as a coach and I work with fans of the Orioles and I stay connected there.
Very cool. Yeah, so a few years ago, kind of what Laura was saying, people were asking me to be on their team. I was, athletic, played soccer, lacrosse, and then I was like, I'll try flag football, why not? So over in Canton, one night in February, took a wrong step, blew out my ACL. And then from there, I just took a year to rehab, and then a year after that, I was like, I don't really want to do anything. And then, spot wash started happening, and right now we're 24/7. We're washing cars right now. So we have 30 tonight, we did 10 today. So we're always going. So I always try to make time on Friday afternoons to go play golf. So that's my release. Like, I don't need to take a week off. I don't need to go to the beach. I don't need to go here or there. Give me 4 hours on a Friday, I'm good. But I need that every Friday. It's just a place where I can relax, kind of turn my phone off, but
Not.
I walk. So that's part of the experience for me, and just being able to relax.
So I'm gonna start wrapping it up because I know we're at about an hour and I want to make sure we can get some questions in. But kind of the topic tonight was transitioning your career, becoming an entrepreneur. And I know pretty much everybody on this panel here has talked about whether it was athletics or whether it was other businesses. You guys have you're not doing the same thing you were doing when you first started doing whatever it was that you were doing. So how would you say, in your mind, either the sport, the mentality, the drive made you want to say, I want to change to something else. It's time for me to either become my own boss or open a new company or stop doing what I'm doing and do something else?
I guess I'm first.
Sure.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, for me, it was an eye-opener. I was, I played sports in high school and, club sports in college, but I wouldn't really consider, I was like a regular kid athlete. So by the time I started running, I was overweight. I was low self-esteem. And so I started running and I accomplished something that I didn't ever think I would accomplish in my life. So that kind of sparked me to think, well, what else could I do? And so that was kind of like the start of my journey. It was like, okay, you can do this through discipline and training and stuff. Let's see what else you can do.
Awesome.
So I said earlier, but I was just born a natural athlete. And I had an older brother, but I could beat the shit out of him. And all of his friends would ask me to be on the baseball team, not him. And that's crazy. But the other thing is, I was invited to a girlfriend's birthday party when I was a kid, and I had never played tennis before, but her mother had set up the fact that we were going to go to play tennis because she played tennis. I beat the shit out of him. I never picked up a tennis racket before. I don't know where this comes from, but that was me. And so I always knew, in fact, we used to do a thing, because I'm this old, but when I was in 5th grade, they had the president's physical fitness, right? And you had to do a number of things in a certain period of time. And I came in second, right? I came in second to a guy who was 14 years old, 6 feet tall, and I was 9 years old, right? And I missed out by 2 frickin' push-ups, right? That's it, 2 push-ups. Nobody taught me to do this stuff. So where I'm going with this is, it was an innate natural ability that I have always had, and ultimately, once I got older, I decided to put the cigarettes down, because that was cool and hip in the 60s and 70s. Put the alcohol down, but I do alcohol now. It's okay. And actually decide to do something about this innate ability. And I didn't know I could, and I didn't know I should, but it really was amazing and transforming. And helpful and just gave me something to work toward and to validate the fact that, you know, I can do a 2-minute plank and I'm 66 years old. I can still do a 2-minute plank, okay? So, I don't know, I'm just saying, I was born this way.
Playing soccer, and then high school, I went to high school, I was like, oh, what is this sport? Saw it, this looks fun, let me try this. So from picking up a stick beginning of freshman year to making varsity within 2 years, and then kind of, so just having that dedication and work ethic, I knew like going into entrepreneurship, I could just take that same mentality and apply it to what we're doing with spot wash, and I can really achieve things.
The original question again?
So it was, Trent, you know, the top.
How
go ahead.
long can you do a plank for?
Honestly, no idea.
No, you got, you know, the question was, you know, you guys, the topic was transitioning your career. You guys have all obviously made that transition. What was the rest of that question?
I don't know.
Okay, there we go.
Say whatever you want.
All right.
Tell a story.
Overcoming hurdles. No, we didn't do that. Here you start.
There we go. All right.
I think I'll echo what Deb said. I read an affirmation today that said, what are you doing with what you've got? And that was the point that I realized I can do this. And I never couldn't. It was just a matter of me looking in the mirror and believing in myself. And because this is the girl who I got beat up by my brothers. I couldn't beat my brothers up. But my eldest brother would lose his basketball and be like, Mom, let's just go. I go, it's okay, they stole my basketball. And then my mom's like, and my 5-year-old is over there tugging on this guy's shirt, being like, excuse me, you have my brother's basketball. And he's like, oh my God, my little sister's insane. I also walked up to my preschool doors at 3 and I told my mom I had this when all the other kids were bawling. So like, there's always been something just different, a spark, not different, like, not in an egotistical sense, but I mean, I just had to look at what I was good at, because sitting me behind a desk or, you know, and some other thing is not what I'm going to thrive at. So I had to just really realize that, and I was never going to be happy staying in corporate. I mean, it just was not, or working for somebody else, it just was not making me a happy human being. So, you know, I just think it's a matter of believing in yourself and knowing that you can do it.
All right, now I know how to wrap this up. So in my experience, pretty much everything that I decided from a kid, I made a lot of those things happen. Some things worked, some things didn't. When I started unpacking how I did that and how I was able to reach the top of my game as a professional athlete, every day we're shedding cells. Every day our body is creating new cells. And when I went through the transition, the biggest thing I kept saying to myself, whether it was in the mirror or driving or out loud or anything, was the things that I wanted to come next in my life. So I don't know what the exact number is, how many years it is, but in 5, 7, 9 years, every single cell in your body will be completely different. So whoever you are today, 7 years, 10 years from now, you'll be that new person that you want to be if you set the intention and put the work in that we've all done and that we're all continuing to do.
All right, I want to open it up to the floor. Does anybody have any specific questions? Yep.
So one thing I did from sports when I was younger was
Watch it.
I know, you do.
Oh, yeah, you don't know. I'm one of those types of people where if you win, I don't really get that excited, but when I lose, I get extremely upset. So I hate losing more than I like winning. Also, with Spot Wash, I'm kind of like the data guy, so our KPIs. So if we're not hitting our metrics, I freak out.
So you're more the drive not to lose than necessarily the drive to win.
Well, no, I still like to win.
Sure. But you hate to lose. But you hate to lose. And Steve, you made a couple good points. So I know earlier when you were wrapping up, you talked about in 5 to 7 years you're a completely different person anyway because of the cells, and that your doctor told you you need to find a new, different way to take care of yourself. Obviously, you're getting into a new and emerging field right now with CBD, and I wanted to kind of touch on this just a little bit before we wrapped up. How has that been for you as far as kind of being able to offer things that weren't really available when you were going through your professional career to other people who are now, and I know you talked about coaching and mentoring and training. Now there's new techniques out there that can help them maybe stay healthier longer, or at least relieve the pain in a less invasive way. How has that really kind of helped you be more successful, or at least achieve goals?
That's a big question. It's definitely a game changer when you can help people to not be addicted to medicines that are causing damage to their body, and coming into the different science and the application methods. It does make it more available to youth. It makes it available to people in their 70s and 80s and towards the end of their life. So I will say we have kids that are taking this and they're water bottling before a game, and their parents are reporting more focus, more results, like the things that you want. So it is having an impact, and in terms of the professional ranks, as much damage as we do to our body, causing stress and lifting and competing and the bumps and bruises, it's an excellent way. I am now on 0 pharmaceuticals, and I could have looked at 5 pill bottles on my morning routine, 5-6 years ago for different things. So it's really emerging, and yeah, I just caution and recommend you guys to become educated, because that's the biggest hurdle to the market right now, is a educated customer. When they become educated and know how to apply it and use the things, it is really changing a lot of lives.
Sorry, I'm just an entrepreneur, and I too am partnering in a CBD oil company.
One thing I will tell you all, again, aging sucks, okay? And when it comes to your health and what we're talking about here being athletes, up to a certain point, you can continue to build your muscle. You can continue to get strength. There's a certain point, and men it differs from women, but there's a certain point in your aging where you just die. You just die. And all you can do is maintain. No. All you can do is maintain. And I have experienced this. So, working out, and you're lifting weights and you're doing all this kind of stuff. Now, you cannot build muscle. You can simply maintain muscle, because the parts of you, the whatever is it's on there. It disappears. And so it's really, really frustrating, because, and I give you all warning, if you don't work out, if you don't do any kind of exercise, if you try and start it as you age and later, you have to maintain.
And use CBD oil.
Yeah.
We review a lot of CBD products right now, so we're testing them out, checking them out. You should try it.
I actually just read yesterday that they are now recommending CBDs for pets. That's like the big thing now. It's everywhere. It's amazing. It's amazing. And the fact that it was gone for so long. Yes, you there in the back.
Yes, so my question is, how did you know when it was time to transition maybe from your full-time job to full-time entrepreneurship? And were you making money in your business? And just talk about the financial aspect of that in terms of knowing when it's right to make that full jump.
I think there's 2 answers to this. And I can feel it from some of the people on the panel. There's a certain point where you have to go into business for yourself because you can't stand what you're doing. And the other side is that when you're good at something or have a passion about it, you dive into it. I was a little bit of both. I couldn't work for other people anymore. I became a bad employee. I had a shitty attitude because I was right. But and at the same time, what I started doing was, if you need to make that bridge, there's only a few ways to do it. You got to start making a little income on the side hustle, or you got to have somebody who's willing to invest in you. and get to that next level. For me, I had a little bit of side hustle, and I had some clients lined up that were ready to help me jump. But believe me, if you get to the point where you're close, you can't wait to quit.
I said I sold my car. Well, that was $10,000 back in the day, so that was the seed capital that I needed. And my partner did the same thing. She had $10,000, so we came into our business, but we also had 3 clients lined up. We also had 3 clients lined up that were willing to pay us to do the work. So we automatically started out with $20,000. She brought the photography equipment. So you have to be at a point where you know, but we also knew we weren't going to pay ourselves. So we also knew that we had a way to survive, but we weren't going to take a salary until the contracts actually came through. So you have to think through that whole bit.
Yeah, kind of speaking off that, I was an IT recruiter prior to Spot Wash, and I was pretty successful at doing that, so I knew I was going to quit that eventually, so I just was always saving. So I saved up a little over a year's worth of expenses, and then we kept growing and growing, and then I started sleeping a lot less and less, and it got to the point where I was like, well, I can't keep going to bed at 3 a.m. and waking up at 6:30 every day. It's not sustainable. So it got to a point where something had to give, and I was like, well, I got enough saved up. We have clients lined up and a good pipeline. I was like, just make the jump. And that happened in March this year.
I kept my full-time job while I was pitching with a lot of friends what I was thinking about doing. Just a pitch, but I had it not in writing, not even a business plan. Just here's what I'm thinking. And like 3 weeks later, it got legs. Probably 2 months in, I had my first 2 clients to where I could quit that job immediately, because I had my first 2 paying clients that had retained me that made up that income and then some already. And then another month later, I got another 2 clients. So I kind of waited until I had the other money, I had the other job. My father would say, don't ever leave a job without another job, but that's a little cynical. But I didn't have any seed money, I didn't have any capital. I just started the business while I was still working, and I was very fortunate and very lucky that my clients bought in immediately. But if you go to those people who are your mentors or your better friends, your friends that become family within the business world, if you know what I mean, you just start telling them about it. And it's not being disloyal. I mean, I don't even know if there's loyalty anymore in the business world, but I think if you're just ready to quit, you're ready to quit. So I didn't mean it like that, Thomas.
I know my ship's going down.
I just meant I've never had loyalty from a corporation.
Yeah.
If I was disposable all the time, and I feel like I'm pretty talented. So, but if it didn't make sense for them on any level, it doesn't matter. You're out. So that's a whole other tangent. But I just waited till I had my first 2 clients. But if you really believe in what you're doing, and you really have a good solid plan, and you've done your homework on the budget and stuff, and I think when you're a startup like that, maybe you start, you know what the typical fees are. I kind of came down from that, so I was able to lock in a couple quick clients, and then I grew from there.
Have one more right there. There's our final. What is?
There you go.
Yeah,
Spot on the place.
Elon Musk. Local. Greater DMV.
There you go. Spot on the place.
Elon Musk. Local. Greater DMV.
With Greg Cangelosi, and at the time he was doing Blue Sky. I think it was even called something before it was Blue Sky.
Right.
And I was working at a marketing agency, and I was contracting him to do our emails for some of our clients. And he just seemed like a really fun guy, and cool and smart. And so I started asking him, when I say, hey, can I just pick your brain over lunch? Go and talk to him. And at that time, I had no idea that he was going to become kind of the angel investor of Baltimore kind of thing. But, even today, when I was looking for space, and I ended up here upstairs on the 3rd floor. You know, I called Greg and he was like, hey, come over to the garage and this and that, and started talking back and forth, and you know, he gave me advice, and when I told him I was looking over here, he was like, oh, that's a great deal, get in on that. So, you know, he's been great.
That's more than 20 words.
What that was, but was it one sentence?
There was a runoff, so yeah, count it.
I'd say local person that I would model some of my business after and is inspiring would be Michelle's Granola. She started making small batch granola in her kitchen, partnered with a friend, started selling it with her friends and family, then grew to a farmer's market, and just a couple months ago she caught a contract to be in Whole Foods nationally, and she's just doing amazing, amazing things. She gives percentage of her proceeds back always, so that's definitely something important in my book.
I have a man and a woman. The woman is obviously Deb.
Oh, the check's in the mail.
No, I wrote you an email a while ago. Deb was on my Women in Tech panel for me last year.
A year ago.
And we have a past. And she handled it like coolly, non-emotional. I've never seen a woman like this before. So, and she fought for women to wear pants in the workplace. I don't know if you guys know that, but isn't that amazing? I mean, I think that's very cool. And then I have a mentor at Cary Business School, the Vice Dean, Kevin Frick, who is just an amazing human being and is always there for me.
Kevin's a runner.
He is a runner.
Having trouble with this one. I guess Todd Marks with Mind Grub, he's one of the first guys that gave us a shot of a spot wash. I ran into his VP Vince at a networking event after one of the charity events I had, and he's like, what do you do? And I told him, and then I was like, oh, my friend and I are working on this startup, and I pitched him real quick. He's like, come in Monday, meet with Todd and I. I was like, oh wow. And then we worked to deal with him, and now we're here. So he's kind of one of the first people that gave us a shot. So I thank him. He also gives back to the community as well. That's great.
So it's kind of a side hustle for me, but there's a guy named Trevor Price, ex-Raven. He was at Colorado, Denver, before he joined the Ravens. But he has a 2-hit series, Netflix, and a huge vision for, he's on his series 3, has a huge vision for Baltimore to open an animation studio here and employ 200 to 300 people. And he's well on the way. And we've been working together, and he's got his motion capture studio open right now. He's doing a live action movie. And when I first met him, I said, how the fuck do you have time to play football? He's got this stuff going on, and he's amazing, and he believes in Baltimore and what he's doing, and we should be behind him, because if he wants to create 200 or 300 jobs right here in Baltimore, that's amazing.
So they are looking for animators?
Yeah,
Good to know.
take my card.
Oh, please.
Okay.
Trevor was originally going to be on our panel, so we'll have him at a future startup grind event.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes out, because we're gonna guilt him. Yes, we'll guilt him back into coming back again. So I want to thank the entire panel for all the great information. I hope you guys got a lot out of it. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. We got one more thing I want to do. This is how we find out who stayed till the end. If you got your